Hear me out. Could non-monogamy work for you in your relationship? It's a difficult question, right? Well, today, Lottie speaks with marriage philosopher and a very lovely lady called Natalie Warner, who answers that very question. Could I have an open marriage? She literally wrote a book about hers, covering some, well, thought-provoking aspects that we should probably consider. So whether you're monogamous or not, it all comes back to one simple philosophy for us. There has to be an I before there's a we. But today's episode may kind of challenge what you think you know about your own relationship and actually relationships in general. Let's get talking, shall we?
Hi, welcome, Natalie. This is such a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me. And I really would like to start, if you're happy to start straight away, is deep dive into actually who you are and what you do before we talk about the relationship stuff that you've been putting out there, which is incredible.
I'm married. I'm on my second marriage. So I'm married. I have a wonderful husband. We've been married for, it'll be 20 years in February. Our marriage has been open for 13 years.
Yeah.
So we have an open marriage. I wrote on it and everything on my journey towards that. Before that, though, I worked in the community. So I was a parole officer for high-risk federal offenders within the community.
Yeah.
And when I worked for the organization with anger management, that I was like, whoa, we're not teaching the right things in school. People are really struggling, just like everyone can speak a language. It doesn't mean they can communicate. It was really apparent. It was like, holy, just little things, knowing their own triggers and how to change their views on it, to change their feelings. Like a lot of people just really felt helpless in their own communication. And then fast forward, when we did open our marriage, Matt, because I worked so long in the community, I'm like, I'm not dating in my community. Like, there's no way. So I started to go to another place. I started to go to New York. And when I was dating there, I really just became a sounding board to this wealth of men, because I don't date women, this wealth of men that were like, dating, but didn't want to be dating. They wanted to be married, but they didn't want that marriage. They wanted the marriage they agreed to. Like at this point, I'm just meeting people because I want to hear stories now. I want to know what's going on. Holy cow, like everyone's leaving marriages in droves, but they don't want to be. So that became between with what I was doing with my life. And it was like everything that I had learned working in the community was kind of like just banging on my door, being like, hey, remember all these things?
Yeah.
Like put it together and just watch, because what's happening, what you're seeing in the community and like with people like that are struggling in the community, they're struggling in marriages. It's just a different, those people in marriages might be able to get through the community better and things like that. But within their marriages, they're speaking different languages. They're not getting it at all. And it's literally, from what I can tell, like in my experience, like so much of it was, this is all miscommunication, like, holy cow. And when I started to really look and I was like, oh, you're not able to get to the heart of the matter because you're so hung up on who's right and who's wrong and who said what last. And if you don't get to the heart of matter, nothing changes.
Yeah. And I think this is why I wanted to talk to you, because I just love the way that you've put all this across. And my way of working is very similar. The contract is friendship, intimacy and sex, without a doubt. We can't leave any of it out. And the couples that I'm seeing when they come to me, similar to what you're saying now from the observation and the experience that you've had, I'm getting more couples coming in and going, that side of my relationship with you is now over. And it's they're sitting the other side going, right, okay, what do you want me to do with that? I don't really care what you do with that. You need to just sit there and accept that this is how I'm being, and actually you can't cheat, you can't watch more porn than you're watching already if you are, and you can't have any sort of companions or friendship. So when I was listening to you, I just thought the way you put it across was so powerful, because I've looked at some of the messages that you've been getting, and similar to my practice, people have sat in this for 20 years.
There's a gentleman who's not shy on my page. And 2 years ago, when I first got on Facebook, on his wedding night, they waited. They're like devout Catholic. On his wedding night, he was told there'd be no sex. And it's been 40 years of marriage. There's been no sex. I can't wrap my head around how that in itself is not the most cruel thing you can do to someone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't, and then to like go through the years, like, is it not crossing your mind at all that this person might be building resentment, might be building an exit strategy? Like, do you really want the person you just stole 40 years from to be your voice when you don't have one?
Yeah. And a lot of the work I do is from John Gottman's work, which is contempt. You're sitting there playing the game that you've been told that you have to play, but actually underneath you're seething. The resentment, the contempt, the hatred, the self-loathing, becoming who the other person wants you to become. It's really difficult. Within this, Natalie, I want to sort of ask you some questions as well, if that's okay with you, to get your take on some of it. So when we say there's no reason for a monogamous relationship to stop having sex, what are you seeing in others that they're afraid to name? Because you're very much out there, aren't you, saying it as it is? And I'm guessing some people are coming back to you and saying something like, I don't agree with you, or I do agree with you. What do you think people are afraid of when you start talking, or like myself, when we start talking about this? What are they afraid of?
I think people forget that we weren't all introduced to sex in the same fashion. For some of us, we weren't even allowed to have boundaries around sex at a very young age.
Yeah.
And you're a therapist, so you know that once that boundary is broken, that trauma is stamped. And now the future is changing, because that person, that little person, if it starts there, they're a target going forward, right? And if there's no intervention, that is going to play on them. There's promiscuity, there's insecurities, there's all those things. And if that's not dealt with, and the only person that can deal with the trauma is the person that's going through it, not even the person that's like giving it to them.
Yeah.
So they bring that forward, and instead of working through it and getting the help that they require, they bend to the ritual. And then with every person that comes into it, they make them bend to the ritual. Same goes with trust. So, and then trauma is going to come out in one fashion or another as you go. It's going to happen if you don't do something. And so even if it didn't happen at that age, if there was a breach at any point around sex, whether it was in college, a young child, in your marriage or anything, it's like, hold up. That's going to change the way they view sex and the way that they will take it on. So if they don't, in my opinion, if they don't take the time to do the work to re-identify what sex is going to mean to them for the rest of their lives, then they're constantly working from that place of like what sex was forced on them to mean. And so if you're like, one thing I notice is like, I think this happens in women a lot who then have children. And then they get to a certain age, maybe it's menopause, where they're like, you know what? It just becomes this resentment of life of like, I don't owe anyone my body anymore. I have given every last thing I can give, like enough. But their husband or other partner is standing there going, wait, what? What happened here? So they're thinking monogamy or menopause has stolen their partner. But no, that has been like festering. And now once, you've fed your children off you've given everything, you know what I mean? And it's like, and they're just like, I think there's a lot of, when it comes to sex, there's that, like that shame, like people have taboo around it. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it in marriages. Like what? So then you don't even know what your partner likes. So if your partner likes a kink, they're not going to tell you, especially if you've already vocalized, ew, who does that?
Yeah, that is so true. And one of the things I say to my clients is, let's start with, what does sex mean to you? Because we then can find out what has happened in the past, or as a teenager or as an adult. And it's when we sit there for a minute and they go, what does sex actually mean to me? It's a really intriguing deep dive question, because we don't actually say that to ourselves. What does it actually mean to me? We just go along with what's offered to us, and then we get to a stage where we think to ourselves, I actually don't want to do that anymore. And we're depriving the relationship of the connection that is vital. It's like oxygen for me when I'm talking to the couples. It's just like, and if you're not getting that oxygen, it feels like you're suffocating within the relationship.
Yeah. And like one person is controlling it all. Like it's
Absolutely.
just, and they're like, they're like disinterest. Is taking precedence over somebody that's like, they're struggling with their mental health.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let me ask you another question, because I love the way that you put them across. So, do you think we become too comfortable accepting low desire as normal?
Yes. I think that we've done so much damage to sex that, like when you have people, it's like when you have people in marriages going, well, it's my body and my choice and I'm not having sex. Great. I also have a body and I also have a choice and I didn't sign on to be sexless. So where is that respect end? Where's that line? Because I also have to matter in this. And I think that we've made sex this thing that it's like, it's not a big deal. Okay, well then neither is monogamy. Let's keep going. But they don't want to do that. That's where I feel that it's, you know, the low desire, I think, is like low effort. And it's like, yeah. And any relationship, if you don't nurture it, it's not going to grow. And all relationships are breakable if you don't water them. That's just the truth of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I've got quite a few clients who are female and they will not have sex until all the chores are done. And I say the chores will always be there, but actually the sex and the partnership won't. So what are you going to actually work on? Where's the effort in that?
And like, what's the quality of that sex? I don't want that. Like, what? So now, so if you do this checklist for me, I'll do this checklist for you. But your partner doesn't want sex to be a checklist. They want it to be an engagement, a connection. And when your thoughts feed your feelings. So if you continuously think, oh gosh, I have to have sex, this is so awful, that's how you're going to feel about it.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to maintain and nurture the commitment that you absolutely made. And if it was monogamous, guess what? That takes effort every day.
Yeah. 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 How are you showing up for each other? Definitely. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Why do you think people find this topic so uncomfortable? Even therapists sometimes shy away from talking about sex.
Because we were never told about sex in the way that it can be discussed. It's been a shame in our families. Like, I remember my dad telling us about the birds and the bees, and it was like, if anyone touches my daughter, they're dead. And I was like, cool. So that's about the extent of it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you know, nobody talked about, like, you know, what's going to happen. I do now. My son's 28. So I said, hey, you guys, if you guys are going to be monogamous and that, what's going to happen when you hit menopause? You ever thought about that? You guys going to have children? What's going to happen there? What's going to happen if, like, porn becomes desired? Or if my son has ED? Like, what's going to happen there? How are you going to move through that? Because monogamy is every day. And it is also emotional. You can't grow if you can't be vulnerable. And it's the cost. None of us have done that. And then when people do want to talk to their friends or family about sex, they're like, oh, that's so private. Like, don't. And it's like, it just continuously is rolled around like it's like a shame. You don't talk about it.
I don't know whether it's like this in America, but in England, it's like you're married, your sex doesn't happen. Once you're married, sex doesn't happen. While you're single, it does. When you're married, it doesn't.
But in both, yes, that's always been the joke, right? You're going to get lucky, right? That's always been the joke. And it's like, okay, everyone still continued to get married. Nobody questioned the joke.
No.
Nobody wanted to figure that out. Like, that's why I say misery doesn't just love company. It loves generations of company. Why would you do that to your children? Why would you not tell them how difficult it is? That it's for some of us, it's impossible to move through. It's the new norm. They set the new tone and there isn't anything you can do about it, except there is.
Yeah.
But because they didn't want to do anything about it, they want other people to think there's nothing you can do about it. No, there's lots you can do about it. You're the other half of that relationship. It is your responsibility to advocate in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can really hear your passion, but I can also hear an anger inside of you as well because of people making this decision. How does you think that plays out with you coming onto Facebook and all the things, all the platforms you're doing? What sort of feedback have you got?
Mostly good.
Yeah.
The ones that are like, and I already know, like, if you come on my page, mostly if they come in hot and I take the time to talk to them, they come around. It's like a lot of people can run their mouth, but they can't listen to hear what's being said. They want to listen to what continues to feed their narrative, because if they're always right, well, it's not up to them to change. So it's not me, it's them. Well, great.
Yeah.
But I think that for a lot of people too, it's difficult to hear that, like, wait, I get a say in sex in my marriage? Well, yeah, because if you don't, that's not monogamous. That's not balanced. And, like, you know, when you look at the way that it's held in certain ways, it's like, for some relationships, if you put that shoe on the other foot, that's highly abusive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there is an element to that, the weaponizing, the abusive part of it. Choosing to keep all the standards of the house and the car and the children, the family life, the whatever it might be. But actually, I'm going to take this off of you and you still got to stay as you are and commit and provide and do all the things that we've already got. So, and I've read some of the stuff that's come through when I'm listening to you, and there's a real sadness and hurt for the people that have been left behind when they've said, you know, I'm not going to do anything with you now. And that person, there was a guy, I'm not going to obviously say his name, I can't remember his name, but it was so sad, his story, saying about 20 years in and never, you know, hardly touched and not quite sure what I'm still doing here. And your flavour, the way that you put it across is you have a choice. You have a choice.
Absolutely. And I tell you, just because you don't like the choices doesn't negate them.
Yeah.
Right now, you know the way it's going. So when I tell people, I'm like, listen, I'm not here to take you off your path. If you tell me, Natalie, this is the best choice of the options I have, perfect. Then what my advice to you is find a support group so that you can talk to other people and you can gain some comfort, because you're not going to get it there. You know, find things that you enjoy where you can still be happy and thrive in your life. Like, you don't have to also be miserable forever. I mean, if you choose to that, you go ahead. My point in my stuff is make sure you're showing up for yourself, because time is really all you have, and you're going to look back. And so many do, right? Like, they stand at this pivotal point where they're like, I don't want to leave. And they don't want to leave because they've invested so much time and effort and money. And they're like, I don't want to leave. And they sit there with hope that it's going to change. And I'm like, hope without action is like trying to win the lottery and not having a ticket. It's not going to happen. Like, you're waiting for somebody to come back to the table when there's no consequences. And if there's no consequences, why would they change?
Yeah.
And like,
well, they don't need to, do they?
No. And what people also fail to see is that when that's happened and they've soft quit or vacated the marriage like that, you don't need them to show up and tell you the next direction of the marriage. You're welcome to get up, push your chair in, you know, go see a lawyer and figure it out for yourself, because at some point you have to see that you're quite literally in years just being dragged along. You're like the house cat. You're there for comfort.
Yeah. And in therapy, sometimes I can really see that part has been played out. Like, okay, you choose that and I'm going to go and do what I want to do and we'll get divorced. And that person comes back in for a while. So they placate being left and they say, right, okay, we'll start something now and everything. But it doesn't last. Right.
Because the longer they can keep them in it, the more they invest.
Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
more they invest, the less they want to leave. And that's why they breadcrumb them.
Yeah. So let me do a minute. So where's the line between respecting someone's boundaries and enabling avoidance or control? Because I feel like there's quite a lot of control when we're talking about sex, isn't there? That weaponizing or holding it back and everything. If somebody says, I don't want to do this anymore, and I've heard you say this before, if there's a medical reason, totally get it. If it was ED or vaginismus or something going on for either partner, I get it. But if there isn't that, how do we know that it's just avoidance or it's a controlling process?
Well, because I'm going to have my limits. So, and also it's like, what are you actively doing to change it? Because this is your part of the commitment. What are you doing actively to nurture it? Because if you're like just wandering around going, I don't know, like maybe it'll change. Like, no. And you know, is it mental health? Because that's also your responsibility. That's your health. So what is going on? Because at this point, you're driving the marriage and I have no freaking clue where we're going. And I don't want my silence to look like compliance. So I need to keep asking questions. And eventually I'm going to pull the marriage over. And there's either going to be questions answered and we get back on it, or we're going to part ways. But I see no value. I don't get a cookie for letting someone drag my ears because they don't have a desire or the effort to want to learn what changed in them.
Yeah. So what you're saying then, if there is menopause, HRT is needed, or there's ED, or there's tests that you can go for, if somebody's just sitting there going, that's what I've got and we need to put up with it and nothing's going to happen, that's not good enough. There's got to be a reason for it instead of an excuse.
That, to me, it sounds funny, Kate. And here's why. I'm going through perimenopause. My husband's, 45, and he's kind of like going through his midlife. My daughter's 13 and coming through puberty. So is my daughter just allowed to destroy the house with her moods and make us walk on eggshells and like talk to us however she wants or whatever? Because you know what? She's going through puberty. Yeah. We all knew it was going to happen. I've known since I was like 12, I was going to go through menopause, but I'm still responsible for how I move through it. So when I hit, mid 40s, I'm like talking to my doctor. I'm like, okay, I know that something's happening because for the first time ever, I'm annoyed in my house, and that never happens. So I know it's me.
Yeah.
Then I go to hormone doctors. Then I do those because, and I don't do that because, well, then my husband's going to have sex. I do that because it's my body, it's my sexual health, and it is therefore my responsibility. And if I let that go, that's going to start affecting my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health, all of it. Like you don't fix it. I think people become so empowered in the anger that menopause provides. Forget that's not a natural level when you're angry all day, every day. Like you shouldn't be hovering. I taught anger management. You shouldn't be hovering at an 8 all day, every day. That's not normal.
I love this accountability that you put on the individual, that it's our responsibility. If there's something going on with us, whether it's mental health, whether it's sexual illness or health, whatever it might be, it's our responsibility. So accountability and consistency of actually looking after ourselves. I always say things like, your happiness and your mental illnesses or health is your responsibility. You're not going to go into a relationship to get happiness from that person. You have your own and they enhance it.
Yes, that's the way it should be. Yes. Right. Absolutely. You're only responsible for your own happiness, your pets and your children. Everyone else is on their own. Yes.
I love that we align on that completely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you say to a partner who still wants to have sex and celibacy is the only option they feel that they have? What would you say to somebody? They say, I can't get out of this relationship. They've said they don't want it anymore. I've got to accept it.
Called radical acceptance.
Right.
And if you're going to stay, don't let your character go, because if you're going to cheat, just go now then, because it's going to happen, right? So if you're going to stay and be forced into celibacy, look up radical acceptance, go to therapy, go find a therapist that you like, that you can build something with, and, ask for tools to help you move through. Go find a support group, people who are also in your situation. Journal, talk about your feelings, find things that you really enjoy in life, like figure out a way that you can be happy in your future as well. Because if you're going to do it anyway, I mean, the least you can do for yourself is be happy. But that's not what happens. What happens is they sit in the misery and build resentment, and the marriage just sits at a boiling point.
When you said that, it's like if intimacy's walked out the door, so is communication, so is touch, so is vulnerability, so is the opportunity to talk to each other. Like, I'm not okay today. If you're really not caring whether the other person gets the touch from you or the consideration for you, do you really care how they feel anyway?
No, because in order to remove that stuff, you've already had to remove respect. So they don't care. If they cared what you thought or what you wanted, it would be a conversation, not an overtake.
Yeah, that is so true.
And if they felt that they had and they were entitled to make that move, they wouldn't have to create so much chaos to make it happen and to keep it. If your partner is constantly in confusion, that's a freaking you issue, not a them issue.
Yeah. God, that's a horrible place to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
In hope and in confusion and, wondering all the time whether something's going to change. So where does compassion fit for the partner who's lost desire and for the one who still craves intimacy? Where is the compassion?
It's like, it's one thing to remove sex. I understand that might come. But why are you removing all intimacy? Because a relationship without intimacy, any relationship, a friendship, any type of relationship without intimacy cannot grow. It just can't. So where's it going to evolve to? Like, what are you actually holding on to?
Yeah.
Because, okay, you don't want to do the efforts of having sex, but you don't want to have deep conversations anymore. You don't want to still dream about the future and plan it. You don't want to hold hands and still go to movies and travel together. You don't want to grow together. So what are you doing? You're so you have this investment that can't grow, can't go anywhere, and you're holding it, and you're just going to stand there with it forever? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It's like, it's your life. It's like, okay, as long as you understand and you continuously understand that whether you do it, time's going by. I look at time differently now. And so my life is all so I'm it's going to pass either way. You're just literally standing there doing nothing because you're addicted to the comfort it provides.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like safety, but it so isn't, because your mental health, your self-worth, your self-esteem, your confidence, it must be absolutely knocked.
It's 100%. Like when you can't grow and you can't grow, it's like you can't evolve. So you are going to be left behind, whether you want to or not. You're not having any type of communication with your partner, and you're not having it outside of that. So you can't have it at all. Unless, what are you doing? Having it with Chat GPT? I mean, many are.
Yeah, that's so true. And I also follow Tony Robbins, and he talks about how significant am I to you? And for me, that's such a strong word. How important am I to you in all aspects?
There's a gentleman that I help, and I was like, what made you decide to get a divorce? And he goes, oh, when you pointed out she doesn't like me. And I was like, but it was like I wrote out what he had told me, and I sent it to him. I was like, read this as if it's just not you. Like if it's, and he was just like, oh my gosh, she doesn't like me. Like she doesn't like me. And it's like, how do you build? It's like, you know, it's one thing. Yeah, I guess a lot of people have love for their partner. Great. But if you don't like me, I'm not building a life with you. I don't give a shit if you love me or not. There's no way. No.
Yeah.
No.
And sometimes in the therapy room, I don't start off with I love you. I start with I like you. Because sometimes when they've fallen out or there's contempt, we can't start with the love. We've got to build that back up. But if you don't, if they don't like each other in the first place, it's very, very hard to find that pathway back to where they want to be, if they want to be.
And like love flows, but respect is solid. It is a character trait. It is something you have within it. So when I think of like, when we talk about this, it's like, we start with I like, that means to me, like we're going to start in the friendship, because the friendship is strong. The friendship we can build respect on. The friendship has different boundaries. From there, you know, and like when we're standing on the friendship, we're not necessarily standing in the other feelings. You know, it gives us a different perspective if we can do it. And especially if we have a therapist that we trust that can like help us get there, to be like, okay, let me actually see what I'm doing. Let me see a different perspective when I trust, so that I can gauge it. Because then it's nice when you actually have a partner where you're like, you can turn to them and be like, wait, are we on the same page?
Yeah.
And trust that you're going to get there.
Absolutely, yeah. And I always talk about, it's not about compatibility, it's about alignment. What are your value systems? What's your belief system that you've either been brought up with, but you're designing it yourself now? You don't have to stay in the past, even though the past is usually playing out in the present. What we've got to do is go, we can change that history. We can make it different for this partnership. But we're talking about people who opt out of that partnership in the intimacy stakes, and definitely in the sex stakes.
I think that happens because so many people follow this traditional marriage that like you should do, and that is a successful marriage. Yeah. But that's crazy, because why would I follow a pattern of somebody else's, what makes them happy? It's a marriage is a loose outline. You and the person you're married to decide, you sit down, you have these big conversations, and in the details of the conversations, that's going to build the formula for the marriage where the two of you who are actually part of the marriage can thrive. Maybe it has monogamy. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has children. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe both people work. Maybe only one does. Maybe dad stays at home. Maybe there is, you know what I mean? Who knows? But I think when you get to the part of marriage where it's like, whether it's culture or whatever, where you're just kind of feeling like forced to follow this line, it's like, fine. Then the only thing I give a shit about now is just death. Given up on to love and honor, like to have and to hold. Like this is, they, you know, for better or for worse, for better has gone out the door. We're just right down on for worse until death, and away we go. And if you look at a lot of them, they're like, well, whatever happened for better or for worse, whatever happened till to death. Okay, but why are you never touching on to have and to hold and to love and honor and to cherish?
Yeah.
They get so angry about it that they're just like, I'm sure that you, as a therapist, you're like, well, maybe because it's negative, they go into the negative and they just pick out the negative and then they focus on the negative and everything's negative.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say in the last 5 years, I've probably done more open relation contracts than I've ever done before, because the monogamous part of the relationship just isn't happening for either of them. One's opted out. One's decided they don't want to do that. One's decided they want to go and have an open relationship. There's not enough discussion. They've written a very basic contract together, which is completely blown out of the water. When something goes wrong, they come to a therapist, and then we do a proper contract, we work it out and everything, and then they go and then they do. But they're also working on the monogamous relationship as well as the non-monogamous relationship in an ethical way, both. their primary partner is the partner that they are staying with and wanting to stay with, but they're also having an open relationship as well.
Yeah.
And
it's like people will agree on it and then just open. I'm like, wait, that's a completely different marriage. Like, you need different rules, boundaries. Like, you're in uncharted waters. Like, this, you can't just,
huge.
It's not as easy. It's like, do you have any, like, okay, if you're going to do this in your town and one of your kids walks in, or a family, how are you going to go about this? Who's going to know about this? Like, I write courses for this stuff and books, because it's like, people think, well, we just talked about it, so away we go. No. You're bringing other people in, and just so we're all clear, like, this is what I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, the marriage rests in the family. So the family doesn't get a say in the marriage or anything, but the marriage is definitely going to impact the family. So
Always.
if you, right? So people will say to me, Natalie, I can't believe that you would tell your children. Yeah, of course I would. I don't give them details. I have one that's 28 and one that's 13. I don't give them details. But you know what? You know what's not going to happen? Someone's not going to be standing at my door or anywhere else telling my child different. And my child, who's an adult and can drive, is never going to walk in and be like, whoa, what's going on? If he were to see my husband out or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not okay. They need enough information, in my opinion, for mine. Mine need enough information to know that we're not doing anything wrong, but we're not monogamous.
And
No.
But isn't there something about that as well, that you and your partner have decided to stay together? That family unit is still there. There's that safety there for your children. But as a marriage, as two adults, you've decided to actually go out and do something else.
Right. But Dan and I didn't, like, in one of my videos, I find out for the first time that I was the only person Dan was ever monogamous with. And that was only for the first 7 years of our marriage. Like, before we were ever even engaged, I said, listen, I could be committed to you forever. I just don't know that I could be monogamous. And he said, that's not an issue. And so him and we didn't stop having sex. Like, we're still active.
Yeah.
We have intimacy. We have strong intimacy. Like, he's my best friend. Like, no. No. Like, if he came to me tomorrow and said, Natalie, I can't have sex anymore, just because I would want to align with him, like, he's given me 7 lifetimes, I'd be like, yeah, okay, cool, me neither. I don't care. Like, but we didn't stop having sex and then opened our marriage.
No.
We just opened our marriage because we just didn't feel that monogamy was necessary anymore. So, it's like, now it's like, our marriage probably will never close, but it doesn't mean it's always activated. And that sounds like.
No. Most of my couples have definitely wanted to stay together, but they want to open the relationship. So I'm getting them to still work on that primary relationship while they're outside doing the open relationship.
Do they still want to be intimate? Or because, like, for a lot of couples, they do, right? Because
they do.
For a lot of, I'm like, just break it into a partnership. Because for the ones that have, like, a lot of money, they're like, whoa, how do we do this? Like, I was like, okay, you don't want to break apart the empire. I totally get that. Just bring it down to a partnership. Move to different parts of the house. Have a really good house, though, because that house now is literally, like, you got to make that for the kids. Like, they can understand what's going on. And you don't have to give them details, things like that. But, like, don't break apart the empire. Like, just know that, like, feelings flow, but if you can still stay on that commitment, you can keep everything. As you know what I mean? It's like, people have asked me, they're like, aren't you worried that Dan's going to meet somebody and, like, want to leave? I'm like, well, no, like, because I don't think he's out there dating to replace me. I think he's just dating to have different experiences. We didn't open the marriage because anything was necessarily lacking. And, like, when I meet somebody, I'm not looking of, like, okay, so how do I fit in? And, like, now, is this going to be a smooth merge out of my life? I don't give it, like, that's not what I'm, like, in my life, I always tell them, this is going to have a goodbye. So don't get too attached, because it's going to have a goodbye. I'm not growing old with you. It's not happening. I look forward to growing old with my husband.
Yeah.
But right now,
but such clear boundaries. I love actually how the clear boundaries are being said from the beginning. And that's what I say to my couples. If you're going out and you're meeting someone, say, actually, the primary partner is the primary partner, and you are whatever you are to me at that time. Well, it's important.
A lot of them within their marriage, when they change to open marriage, they don't even discuss within their marriage what that's going to look like. Like, I'm polyamorous. My husband isn't. Like, nobody meets I date in the States. Like, it never crosses.
Yeah.
People assume, oh, you're swingers. Never done it. Never shared a partner. Never did any of that. Like they don't, it's like they can't grasp that. Like, you can literally, as long as you follow laws, you can literally create your own life and your own marriage. You just need your partner in the same boat as you creating it with you, and it's all good. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Yeah. And I love that, because I say to my clients, it's a relationship by design. You can choose however you want to be. And I love that you think the same as that. I think it's refreshing, it's awakening, it's all of that stuff that gives you the opportunity for better communication with your partner.
And like, your marriage is supposed to be private, so don't worry about what your parents or your friends think. It's none of your business. Your best friend and your confidant and the person that's going to be your voice when you don't have one because of your age or whatever, that should be the closest person to you. You should not link with somebody and poke holes in your marriage boat. It makes zero sense. You're weakening your team. You're putting your own team behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that, we talk about respect, but there is loyalty within a relationship, as in how we speak about our partners outside of each other. Really, really important.
Yes, absolutely. It's so cringy when people are out with their friends and they're talking bad about their partners, and I'm like, oh, I'm so embarrassed for you. Like, this is such a weak mindset, and it's such a weak, like, you shouldn't be in a relationship. You should be in therapy.
I feel like we're quite aligned. You and I, Natalie. As soon as I heard you speaking, I was like, God, she's just speaking my language. I really do it. And I want to sort of get the word out and serve the couples that I see, and for you in coaching to do the same, to get people to realise that they have a choice, that they have an option to actually say, this isn't going to work for me. So whether you're going to stay like that and decide not to give me what we had before or we haven't had for years, then I'm going to make a different decision. And it'd be interesting to see how that person then reacts to it, because it's almost like a given. I'm not going to give it, so it's a done deal. And and there's no, like you say, there's no discussion or anything. There's no opportunity to go, well, how does that affect me? There is nothing said about, I don't know how it's going to affect you, but that's what I'm telling you. And it's so cold.
It's super cold. But I think something else that people don't really pick up on is that I think for most of those cases, the sex is only dead within the marriage. When if they were to part ways, I don't think that other person would still be necessarily sexless.
No. And I talk about limerence a lot, the start of a new relationship with the newness of it and the body of it and the feeling of being wanted, admiration, affection. They would just come back online again.
You know here's what's crazy about that. Remember when COVID hit, right? And at the end of COVID, it was like you had all that time, and it's like you're hit with did I take the right person to the deserted island? Because who would take to a deserted island, right? Hopefully your spouse. Well, some of those people came out of there and they're like, that is not who I would take to a deserted island, and did nothing to change it.
Yeah.
Nothing to change it. I went in, and as soon as I went in, I was like, okay, we automatically are forced back into monogamy. We don't have a choice. We're forced back into monogamy. So let's really, 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 really feed the monogamy. Let's really amp up the intimacy and things like that. Let's really water our own grass. Let's really see if we can bring back the level of passion that the newness creates, right? And we did it, and it was insane. We built a whole new honeymoon phase, except because we were actively doing it and really trying mentally and everything, we were engaged in it. We had 6 months, 8 months, even when it opened up again, we were still really heavily just with each other. But we took that time because we're like, okay, there's nobody else that I'd want on my deserted island. So that worked out. Yeah. But now we can't see other people. So how much can we reignite passion? Is it doable? Can you? Of course it is. It's absolutely true. Where you water, where you pour your efforts, that's what's going to happen. If both people are really involved and they want to do it, it's going to happen. Because how can it not? Once you start bringing back things like consideration, in how you talk to each other, can I do anything for you today? How is your day? Really just showing up for one another without even having to be asked, really making them your best friend and considerate and all those things and being kind.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love that. And I love it that you actually said, how can we make this back into the sense of you and I while we're in COVID? There were so many people that moved in together because they thought it's better than being on my own in the whole light of COVID. And they were with people that they didn't really want to be with, but it seemed the best choice at the time, and it definitely wasn't. So lots of people broke up after COVID because it just wasn't the right person. But it is about communication, Natalie, isn't it? At the end of the day, being able to say what you really want to say instead of walking on eggshells and being worried about the response that you're going to get.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, even if they, you'll have the people that are assertive and they can say it well, which is few. The ones that are like, a lot of people just don't like you because they say what other people say. Yeah, but you have to have tact. Otherwise, nobody, if you want to be heard, you have to be somebody worth listening to.
Yeah.
And for a vast majority of people, they're afraid to say it, even with tact and compassion, because they've been trained from a very young age that other people's feelings are more important than yours. So don't hurt their feelings. You become a liar first.
Yeah. And I really noticed that you and I, we work from, so we're not psychodynamic therapists. I'm not myself. We are talking about the past every now and then, the past of us, the part that was wounded, the part of the inner child that wasn't heard, the part of all of that, which is really playing out in our relationships now. And it feels like when the person who opts out, it's like, I wasn't heard back then, so I won't be heard now. So I'll just vacate completely. Almost like a baby when you pick them up and they go, I'm opting out, I'm not bothering anymore. It's like they weren't heard anyway. So they say it in such a cruel, quick, cold way, and they don't want to have that discussion. It's a done thing, and I'm not going to have a big discussion about it. I like it that you and I sort of go back into the past to work out how that's playing out in the future now. So what I'm trying to say is coaching is similar to counselling, I believe. I think the accountability is very different. I think the way that comes across in both arenas, but you are similar to me and I'm similar to you, as in we are talking about the past. Where have I come from and why have I got these set ideas about sex or communication or conflict?
Oh, for sure. I think that absolutely realign right along the thing. A lot of my work really is helping people, like shining a light on like your relationship needs hard intervention. And for a lot of people, that hard intervention has to be in the form of therapy. So like yesterday I did a consultation with somebody and they were wonderful. And as we were talking and they were struggling with their relationship in that, they disclosed that, they'd been in the military for, 40 years at combat. I said, how long are you in combat? It was 10 years. So, when you got back, any type of like intervention? I think, no. You never had any type of intervention for any type of combat and you were gone for that long? Yeah. That needs intervention. Like you yourself need intervention so that you can then engage in relationships.
Yeah.
Like, but, and I was like, did you, and he got on with a therapist and things like that, like to be able to do that. It's like PTSD, like is different. That's mental health. That's something that you need. You need somebody to walk you through that. It's like trauma. You need somebody to walk you through that. You need to build that relationship and they're going to help you unlock the way so that you're still gonna have the trauma, but it's gonna be a way that you can like still, live and be happy and you don't lean on it, things like that. And like, people will be like 20 years of no talking. You need hard intervention. You need to learn to get back know how to like bridge that gap again. Because like you said, well, I'm never going to be heard anyway, so I just give up. Well, that's such a good cop out though. It's so easy to shut it down because if I don't have to have the conversation, then I don't have to be accountable. And if I don't have to be accountable, then nothing has to change. And why would I want anything to change since everything runs on my moods and my word?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
perfect.
Right. And then if I breadcrumb them along long enough, they will have invested so much, they won't leave. And I get to keep it all anyway.
Yeah. 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 You say that so well.
People will say, Natalie, marriage is a scam. I'm like, no, it's not. Your partner's used marriage to scam you. There's a difference. You should have done more work. There's a difference. Well, people get mad and they'll say, about menopause. Okay, so what did you do? What did you talk about?
Yeah.
How'd you talk about menopause? We didn't.
No. Got to talk about it all. Absolutely.
All of it.
Let me ask you some more questions, Natalie, if that's okay. I want to keep you on here forever. I know we've got lives outside of here, but yeah. So what do you wish more couples understood about the role of sex in sustaining connection?
Is that you have to be able to feel safe.
Love that.
You have to be able to feel safe. And even if you have trauma that's from before and you haven't dealt with it or any of things like that, like yet, like you have to let your partner in, not necessarily the details and things like that, but to let them know that like it exists so that they have, without you needing to necessarily go into detail and explain it to yet them too, that they understand that like things could change or if they have changed, why that might be. But when it comes to sex, if you cannot speak openly and honestly with your partner without feeling ashamed or without being shamed,
Yeah.
it's not good. Like
No.
that, I get people too, they say, you know, my fiance stopped having sex with me. Okay, so perfect. You're only at the fiance stage. Do not move forward. Do not pass go. Don't go. Do not do this. It doesn't get easier after marriage.
Yeah.
You can't tell me sex helped build the relationship and then tell me it's not a big deal. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You have to, it's like, sex is a big deal. I'm more inclined to believe you just want to remove effort, and this is the best way that you know how.
Yeah. And I think we've always got to remember that sex is a big deal. It's so part of a relationship.
Well,
as an individual and as a couple.
Even if my husband says sex isn't a big deal, well, good for you. Has zero to do with me. I'm a completely different person. And if I break my leg, he can still walk. It doesn't matter.
No.
The way I think isn't the way he thinks. He's a chemical engineer. I have no idea what he talks about half the time. We're not the same person. Like, you know what I mean? If he's going through something, if he has ED, I don't. Like, I'm going through perimenopause. He's not having hot flashes. Like,
I love this.
How about what about my values? What about what I value? What about what I think is important? What about not minimizing what I want?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because you no longer want to.
Yeah. And this is where this really aligns with how I work is you're an I first. You always were before you were a we.
100%.
I do a lot of work in encouraging people to actually, what do you want as an I, separate from your partner? So what's your adventure, your bliss, your erotica, your adventure? What is it without them? You're still with them, but without them. Let's work out what that would look like. And then let's look at what the we is. So what you want to do together. But there should, I don't very often say the word should, but there should be something in that psyche that says, I'm an I still, even though I'm leaning into this relationship. I still want my adventures on my own, separate from you. But a lot of people get enmeshed. They get too leaning in and one's leaning too much on the other person. And they lose themselves in the whole gambit of a marriage or a relationship.
Oh, they love to give up their identity and become one. And I'm like, you didn't actually become one.
No.
Like, why do you not, like, my husband, he did the Trans-Siberian. So we travel differently. I don't want to sit on a train through the Siberian for 2 weeks and eat fish. I don't want to, but he should be able to do that. Have at it. Go ahead. He does cooking lessons in Thailand. He should be able to. I live part-time in New York. He doesn't like New York. No problem. Like, why don't you want to learn and grow? And the only thing I can think of is that you actually don't even know if you like yourself. So you get your identity from other people. So as long as you guys are pouring into each other and like just sitting, watching reruns on a united front and not actually evolving or doing anything, well, it's easy. It's easy until you reach that time when you're looking in the rearview mirror and going, great. So I have no interests.
Yeah.
No skills, haven't really developed much, because life literally is about experiences and interactions. So if you get married to just stop having those, why would you get married to stop growing? I got married to fulfill my dreams. I'm writing books. My husband's making music. Why would you link forever and not shoot for everything?
Yeah. And so many people come to therapy going, I don't actually know who I am now.
No identity. Like, when I have many times I'll have a woman in front of me and I say, okay, so tell me about yourself and don't tell me you're a wife and don't tell me you're a mom.
Yep.
And it's like silent for a very long time. And then it's like the guilt comes in and then shame. And then it's like, wait, what? Holy cow. And it's like, I was there. My kids did amazing things. They keep doing amazing things, but it's their things.
Yeah. It's a role that we play.
And we're like, I remember in suburbia and like on a golf course going, so when does the happiness kick in? There's no way. There's no way everyone's happy out here because I'm like miserable. I'm like, oh my gosh. There's no way. There's no way. And then when you realize that you're actually like trying to keep up with the Joneses and then you stop and you're like, actually, I don't even like this shit. What do I care about any of this?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Whose life am I living?
And you go online, you're like, I need that. I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that. And it's like, do you? Because I can tell you forever, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer until I gave up the thought. And I was like, I think it was just something I'd had since childhood. That was like the longest thing. And like I had control over. So it was like, that's what I always wanted to be. That's why I did a philosophy degree. And then I'm like, thank goodness I'm not a lawyer.
It was a message that you were given probably along the way.
It was like, maybe it was because I wanted control. Who knows? But it wasn't until I really thought about it. Like after I graduated from my undergrad and I was like, okay, I'm going to work in the community for a year. And I was like, there's no freaking way I'm going to law school. No way.
No.
I need to be like hands-on in the community. Like I need to be an advocate, a voice like this. Like I need to get people where they're going. Mental health. I'm working like knee deep in like undiagnosed mental health and stuff. Like that's where I was like, I really learned like humanity and like, okay, like we have to work together. Like a community can only rise when we rise together. Kind of like a family can only thrive when we thrive together.
Yeah. And I'm very much into community, and I'm very much into serving. I want to serve as many people as I possibly can. It's not a career. It's not a vocation. I don't even know what the word is, but it's almost getting the word out there, getting relationships wherever they need to be, people not opting out, people deciding, you know, happiness is now, it's not over there. Yes. There's so much to it, but it is about arriving wherever you are and then doing for me, definitely for the inner child work, the woundings, not putting all that on your partner, making sure you own it and don't project it onto them. So there's such a myriad of stuff to work out. And I want people to see it as curiosity. Instead of thinking, I've got to do this journey, because my partner says I'm this or I'm that. Forget about what your partner's saying. What do you think you are, and what journey do you need to go on? And the curiosity is the key to going, actually, I want to excel, be better, whatever that means. You know, do you know what I mean? There's so many words I could use, but it's just like the best version of you possibly can be. Not for anyone else, just for yourself.
Absolutely. You want to enjoy your own company, so you're not settling for just anything.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I tell people is that when you get into a relationship, the goal is to become a good support for that person, not to become a savior.
Yeah, I love that. The rescuer, the savior. Absolutely. Yeah.
You're a support that they can lean on so that they can save them freaking selves. Stop going in. It's like, stop going into relationships thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to save this person. No, you're not. You're an enabler. You're not a support. You're doing this for yourself at their expense.
And that's where the I comes in, because if you've got a partner that can support you with your dreams, your aspirations, you know, I'll look after the kids for 3 weeks while you go to Bali and learn to be a yoga teacher. I've had this in my therapy room, and the support that they give, they end up saying to the partner, come out 3 days before we finish the yoga so we can be together. When there's this angst and why have it got to be about you and why do you have to go for 3 weeks? It causes such ruptions that they end up going, but they definitely don't want their partner out there for the last 3 days to have a really good time with each other. We've got to have that support so that you can be an I and be a strong we.
Agreed. I think that too many couples function like they're siblings, and it becomes like these ridiculous power struggles of like tit for tat, or I'm only going to give you that if I get this. And it's like, okay, that's not working together. You guys never left siblinghood for some reason, but then you got married and it's still the same behaviors. And I don't understand that. Like, you're not working together.
No,
you're not.
No. And I'm so glad you said that, because nobody ever says that. We talk about parents all the time, you know, the past wounds that we have in parents. But I definitely talk about siblings all the time. You know, that's where you learnt some of your stuff, to wrestle and get it wrong and, you know, be bullied, to be honest, in some way, shape or form.
All of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you see that in the therapy room, the way they're playing up and playing out.
The way they talk, the way they speak. And it's just like, oh gosh, this is a friendship, and you should be friends with your spouse. But to me, when it gets to that, like when it's like siblings, that is more, that to me isn't, you know, like sarcasm when two people have really good humor, because whatever. That to me, when it gets to that, I think that needs intervention more in therapy, because there's something that's rubbing them there. Like, why are you treating your partner like they grew up with you and your sibling? Like, why is that boundary not different? That boundary should be different, for sure, because that's not like, I've never felt towards my husband the way I felt towards my siblings, and I'm the youngest of 8.
Yeah, and I guess that's when we're going down the road of roommates.
Okay. But I had a roommate all through university, and I never had to be monogamous with them.
Right. Okay. That's
or celibate. It's not the roommate experience. The roommate experience, you still have the freedom to go out and do anything you want. You're just sharing space.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So
no, I love that.
It's a prison experience, but
yeah. Yeah. That makes sense to me. Yeah, I love that. Also, the intimacy goes off kilter as well, doesn't it? If we're experiencing our partner as parent and we're child or sibling, the intimacy just can't happen.
No.
Completely disappears.
No. And I think that's a lot of times why sex ends.
Yeah.
It's like, if you and your partner behave like siblings, the romance can't.
No.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm sure in certain parts of the world it can, but in most marriages, treating each other like siblings, I don't see how that sparks intimacy and wanting to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no part of me wants that. Like, what?
No.
So
No.
when they behave like that, you can't be surprised when it goes into that fashion.
Yeah. Let me do another couple of questions, if that's all right, Natalie. Yeah. If you could give one piece of advice to anyone stuck in a sexless relationship, what would it be?
Figure out if you want to leave. If you can't figure out a way to live with that, figure out a way to leave. Don't, unless if you have, like, get therapy on your way through. Start now if you need to, and get it when you're on your way out in that. But being forced into celibacy is still abuse. Your voice isn't being heard. Your needs and wants aren't even being considered, and it's impacting you.
Yeah. Good advice.
And I think another thing that really baffles me is, like, I still won't understand why all intimacy leaves when sex does.
Yeah. Yeah. We can still have that touch, that connection, even if the sex disappears, but it just goes, and communication disappears as well. I always find they go hand in hand out the door at the same time. Yeah.
And you can't grow, you can't move, you can't do anything. So it just stays stuck there. And with that space now, resentment just starts to stack and build, and, like, passive aggressive becomes the new love language.
Nearly there. I'm not going to let you go. You know that, don't you? So, how do we talk about this without blame? How do we bring curiosity instead of shame?
To sexless? Speak from your experience.
Right.
How you speak about your experience. So if I'm bringing my partner to the table, I'm talking about how our lack of intimacy is starting or has impacted the way that I feel about myself.
Yeah.
The way that I think about the marriage. Yeah. The way that I feel about the marriage. The way that I feel about myself. I feel confused. I'm wondering if you are quietly just leaving other parts of the marriage as well. And I just want some clarity to clear out the confusion, so I can have an understanding of where you're at, so that I can show up for you.
Yeah.
If you remove everything, including conversation, how is your partner going to show up for you and support you?
Yeah. And that's quite a big question, isn't it? I'm removing this part, and it is really curious, isn't it? What else are you not going to be doing with me or for me or to me or supporting me?
Right. And, like, if you don't care how this impacts me, something as big as sex, as intimacy, you're not going to care how other things impact me. Let's not play games as if, like, all of a sudden, like, other things are going to matter. That's not how trust works. And once you break trust, and that is exactly what would happen if you removed all intimacy or just sex, whatever. If you remove intimacy without conversation, without any type of clarity, you've broken trust. So you can't convince me all of a sudden you're going to start showing up for other things or not dropping out of the marriage. That's not how trust works.
Yeah, you're spot on there. Yeah. So the respect and the trust is being eroded just as that element is taken away. How can you ever trust what that person says? Even if they are being caring, it's not sure whether actually it's from a convincing place or from it's what I've got to do. It's what I feel I have to do.
I think it's a way to desensitize your partner into just being used to taking a backseat. There's no balance. As soon as unilateral decisions start being made, the relationship has shifted.
Yeah.
It needs help. It needs help, or it's going to capsize.
So finally, where does the saying say, hear me out? What does that mean to you? Because I love it when you say that. It gets me really hooked every single time. Hear me out. And I think, I'm going to hear you out. Where did that come from?
You know what? Okay. So I you know what's funny is, I love watching Frasier. And he'd always say, I'm listening.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
And he'd always say, I'm listening.
It's my favorite. Yeah.
I'm not a therapist. So I'm like, I can do advice. I'm like, okay, wait, hear me out. Because I don't have to hear them. I can just say, hey, if this is happening, have you ever thought about it like this? Yeah. So mine is like, I hope mine is more comes up a place of curiosity. Like, let's just hear me out for a second. What about this? Like yesterday I did a video on, like, I said, okay, this is my best way to explain in a video. Like, people ask me, well, why would you leave a sexless marriage? So I said, let me show you my thought process on why I would. And so that I'm able to walk them right down. I'm like, you know, once they start removing things, how I can do that. So
yeah, I haven't watched that one yet. I need to get
I just constantly making like
yeah, I love it.
videos. But when it came to that one, it was like, yeah, to hear me out, it's kind of like a play off Frasier, who is like, I'm listening.
Yes.
And I love it, right? So, and it's like relationships and that. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go with this and see, because it's advice. So it's like, you know, if they could just hear it from this perspective. And, you know, I use my, you know, my husband says, wow, you're using your philosophy degree. I'm like, I know, right? He goes, well, when I got my degree, he goes, wow, you got a philosophy degree. Now you're eligible to argue with people in the park. And I go, yeah, but now I can win. And he goes, who knew the park was going to be the internet?
I love it. I absolutely love it, Natalie. And I really believe that you're helping a lot of people out there to make decisions for themselves. And I love it that I've met you and we've been able to do this together on the Paradox of Change podcast. I'm sure we are going to come across each other many, many times from now on. And I'd like to invite you again at some point if you're happy to come. So thank you so much for everything today. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lottie. It was so great to be here.